Hey guys, Rudy back with part 2 of the week 2 tutorial solutions. So if you haven't already checked out part 1, I'll chuck a link for that in the description. Otherwise, yeah, let's get straight into it. Okay, so what do we want here? Your 5-year-old cousin Alice is learning addition and you have decided to write a program she can use to practice with. Isn't that nice? So it should generate two random 2-digit integers and ask the user what the sum of the integers is and display whether or not the user is correct. Okay, so I am just gonna get me some space and let's come down here and keep writing our script. Now we want to generate two random numbers when we do this, right? Now to generate a random number, we are going to need Python's random module, okay? So this keyword here, import, allows us to basically go out there into the sort of external resources and grab extra code for use in Python, right? By default, Python doesn't have every bit of Python code that's ever been written. It's sort of installed in it when it runs, because otherwise it would be so much slower. And so we only sort of pick and grab the pieces we need and add it to the basic skeleton that all Python runs, right? So we can import random, and that allows us to use random, basically generate random calls and random numbers and that sort of thing. Okay, so we can see down here that we can use the function call random.randint to generate a random 2-digit number. Okay, now we're going to need two of those, right? So I'm just going to call this one A, and then we're going to want another one of those, and let's call this one B. So we got two random numbers, A and B. Okay, so we want to sort of ask the user first what they think the answer is. So remember, whenever we ask the user for something, we need to use that input command. Okay, now we want to make sure that we always store the input inside some sort of object, some sort of variable, sorry. So let's say that we're going to put their guess here. Okay, now we want to put some text in here that sort of displays what the question is, right? So in this case, we want to be displaying A plus B equals, and then let them input. Okay, so we want to sort of build up our string here, right? A, and then we're going to want to stick together a plus sign in there. Let's put some spaces on either side so it looks a bit nicer. Plus B. Okay, and then let's add an equal sign there. Remember putting a nice space in there so the input looks good. Okay, so for now let's just try running this and see what happens. Oh, what do we got here? Unsupported operand types for plus, int, and string. Okay, so that's that error message we got before when we were trying to add 3 to the number 12, I think, when we were doing this. Okay, and so let's have a look at our input here, right? And we can see that we've added a number, and we're trying to stick it together with these characters, and it's not quite going to work, right? We need to be adding strings and strings together. So if we want to turn this A into a string, we can just use the string command, or stir. Okay, and so just to see what that's doing, if we go back to our shell, right? If we have 2 and we have string of 2, we get back the quote 2, okay? And that's the one we're after. So guess input string string. Okay, so now our guess should be going well. Cool, it's generated some random numbers. I think that the answer to that is, I don't know, 70. Cool, and our program's done. Now let's just see though, if we look at what our guess was, our guess has been the quoted 70 because that's what I typed there. Okay, so all we need to do now, I guess, is check whether the guess was good or bad. Okay, so let's just think here. There's two options here, right? So we're going to use an if statement, and essentially what we want here is if the guess, was right. So let's think about what the answer should be first. So our answer is going to be, well, it's A plus B, right? Because these are the two numbers that we generated. So that's what our answer should be. Okay, so then we want to know, well, if our guess is equal to our answer, then we were right. Hell yeah. Okay. Otherwise, we were wrong. Okay, so what have they actually written in here? What did they want? They wanted a correct Okay, so let's just fix this guy up. Correct. And then they wanted to know, no, the correct answer is, oh, okay, and then we're going to have to add in our answer, right? Well, we know how to do this, right? We've got two options here. We can either put our space in and try and add our answer. But remember, our answer is a number, right? It's an integer. So we would have to chuck it in as a stir. So that's one way of doing it. Or we can use the fact that we're using a print statement here to try and be a bit cleverer. And instead, just put our answer in like that, right? And that probably looks a little bit cleaner. So the print command is smart enough to, if you give it several arguments, so here we've got one argument that's a string and one argument that is a number. The print command is smart enough to sort of turn this answer guy into a string before it tries and sticks it all together. Let's try that. 44 and 27, so that's what, 71? No, the correct answer is 71. Ooh, what's going on here, right? Well, we know that we sort of guessed the right thing. So if Python thinks we're wrong, I guess our problem is probably up here in our guess and our answer. Okay, so at this point here, let's just try printing guess, and let's print answer, and let's see what these things are supposedly. Okay, so those two, let's get 40, and okay, they're both coming back as 40. That's a bit strange. So it looks like we're right, but there must be something else at play here. So let's stop and have a bit of a think about this. Where did guess come from? We got guess from our input, and we got answer from our a plus b. Okay, so there's our problem, right? Whenever we do input, we always get back a string, right? So this guess that we're getting back here, right, is coming back as 40 in little quotey guys. Okay. So similarly to how we turned these guys into strings using string, we can turn guess into an integer by using the int command, right? And then I guess an even easier thing we could do is, instead of using it up here, we could actually make sure that guess is an integer right from the start by inting or integering whatever they give us here. 63. This whole video is just for me to flex that I can add two-digit numbers, you know? Correct. Hell yeah. Cool. Let's try running a false one just to make sure that that's still working. 7. No, the correct answer is 111. And yep, that's all good. So yeah, it looks like we're really done here with the Alice's Addition Academy. Okay. What do we got here? I believe this is the challenge here. Challenge 2. Modify the above program so that it also randomly selects an operator from these 6 options. Okay, I'm actually going to do this one because I think this is a nice challenge to get in here. So now, instead of always using plus, we instead want to be thinking a bit more about this and using 6 different operators. Okay, well, I guess we're going to need an extra layer of random, right? Because we're always going to have one of these 6 operations here. So I guess from the start, I'm going to go back up here and make another variable where we guess which thing we're going to use. So what, we need 6. So I guess 0 to 5, because randint is including both sides. And then based on what this choice guy is, I'm actually going to decide what to do here, right? Because if we sort of think about our logic at the moment, if guess equals answer, no, the answer is this. This is actually pretty sort of modular, right? Like this could work for any operation, right? If the guess is the answer, okay, awesome. So the only stuff that really needs to change is what the answer is and what text we put up in our guess, okay? So, well, I guess we got several options here, right? And we can just use a bunch of if statements. So if our choice was 0, okay, and then we've got, what, a couple more of those? If our choice was 1, you know, and etc., etc. But let's just think about what we would do inside each choice. So let's just say the first choice is 0. Well, we've already done addition, right? Sorry, the first choice, if addition was 0. We've already done this one, right? Always remember, whenever you have an if statement or a function or a colon or something, you need to indent inwards like this. You can't stay here, otherwise Python will think your if statement is empty. Okay, so we know that when we have addition, this is what we want to set our guess and answer to be, right? So let's have a look at, if choice is 1. Okay, well, let's call this one subtraction. Okay, well, we're going to want to do pretty much the same thing, right? In fact, I'm actually just going to grab this bit of code, paste it in right here. So what would we want to change? We want our answer to be a minus b. We want to put in the operation here as a minus, but otherwise it's pretty much the same, right? So how many of these did we have? We had 4. Okay, and so what did we have? We had addition, subtraction, multiplication, integer division, it looks like. What was that last one there? We've got to the power of, so I guess exponent. And finally, modulo, or the percent sign. Okay, so let's just put in our different choices here. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now, I think there was some extra tidbit here about the, if the power operator is used, the exponent should be randomly chosen between 0 and 3 instead of between 10 and 99. Okay, so if we hit the exponent one, and let's actually update all these as we go as well, right? So our answer should be times, and we want a times here. I'm actually going to use a little x because I think that's going to look better. If we have integer division, we want our answer to be // and we should have a //. If we want exponent, I'm going to use this again because I think it looks a bit better, but remember the exponent operator is the double star. And if we're modulo, we want the percent sign. Okay, now if it is an exponent, we'd only want our b value to be between, what was it, 0 and 3? Okay, so we only want it to be between 0 and 3. So we don't have to, we want to sort of change this b guy, right? So we could make an entirely new variable here, but I guess what we really need is we just need to change b to be a rand int that's a bit smaller, right? And we can just chuck that in here inside this if statement, and then we should be good, right? Okay, so let's try running this and see how we go. 62 to the power of 3. Well, that is a really big number, and I don't know what that is, so I'm going to hit a 7. Let's see what it should have been. No, the correct answer is that. I'm going to trust Python on this, or I guess I could just get a calculator out. Ooh, 62 to the power of 3. Oh, would you look at that? Okay, let's run this one more time. 70 floor divides 68. Well, that should go once, right? And we should have 2 remainder. Correct. Okay, so it really looks like it's working here, right? We've tried 2 test cases. Obviously more than enough. I'm just kidding. You really should test your code a lot more than this, but this is a tutorial video. So obviously this is fairly ugly, right? Like I've just copy pasted the same chunk of code 6 times. Okay. We will get to some cleaner ways of doing this, but this is more or less what we need to be doing, right? Something else I guess we could cut down on here is we can see that this guess line is basically the same across all 6 of these lines. So we could sort of simplify this by maybe constructing guess. Sorry, like when I say guess, I mean like constructing this string. We could construct that afterwards. In the end, it wouldn't really matter, right? Because we're always going to have some sort of line in here, right? I guess I should just explain what I'm saying. So, for instance, if we wanted to take this guess line out here, right? We could instead have something that looks like this. Say operator takes on, what was it? It was the percent sign. Okay, and then instead of adding the percent sign here, right, we could do something like this, right? And we can see that there we can get our guess down the bottom, right? And then our code is going to look a lot cleaner. So let's actually update all these. Operator takes on the value of to the power of. Operator takes on the value of, what was it, integer division. Notice I'm leaving a space on either side of these so the formatting still looks nice. Oops. Operator is now a X. You know, and we sort of just, we fill these all in. When we get later into the course, there will be even nicer ways of doing it than this, because we still got a whole bunch of duplicated code here, right? Which is what we want to be wanting to avoid. But we can see that by doing that, we've sort of cleaned it up a lot more, right? Each time we pick one of these random choices, we get an operator and an answer. We then go down here and we construct our guess line. So we only need to have this guy in once before getting these out. Okay, and let's try running that. Cool, and it still looks like it's working. So that's what, -25, and it still looks like it's working. Okay. So I'm gonna leave it at that for now. I think this, okay, so this obviously would have been the first video that you guys have seen this semester. So if you've got any questions at all, leave them in the comment section. If you managed to stay this late through it, congratulations. Leave them in the comment section. Feel free to post on Piazza. With any questions you got on this, you can always tag me in there. My name is Rudy. You can always tag me on Piazza and I'll be happy to answer questions about the videos. If you've got any suggestions, any qualms, anything you weren't quite sure on, just let me know. Let any of the tutors know. We're always happy to help with this kind of stuff. And otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video.